Hi, this is Robert Kiyosaki, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. This is the most important thing you can listen to today.
He's the one.
I have a dream.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I can do this all day.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Cinderella's story out of nowhere.
It's in the hole. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Capital Hacking begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the big show, John. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Man, we have, Josh, we had a treat. We have a treat for you listeners. We have Rami Odeh, AKA Coach Rami, CoachRami.com. He's going to walk us through how he takes men from, your average couch potato or guys who work out sometimes or guys who are ultra endurance athletes, and how he resurrects their fitness, increases their testosterone, and creates a total savage out of them in less than a year.
Yeah, and by the way, less than a year doesn't sound that fast to some of us, so I'm impressed, but it is so impressive. There is a revolutionary thing for most of us that we will not believe that he encourages phasing this, and wait till you hear his phasing. But I also think the craziest part is he's going to deep dive into a phrase that I'll never forget. He called it skinny fat. He defines it. He explains how ultra endurance people sometimes fall into it. And that was revolutionary and provocative and crazy. But John, you've done this for 30 plus years, the world of fitness, the world of training. Why did you want to have Rami on the show? Just as a tease, if you don't mind. What is different about the way he's talking?
We could have a trainer on here in their 20s and 30s, and that's one thing, because genetically they are going to have it a little bit easier. He's, I think, 63. He just completed a bodybuilding show less than a year ago. It's something he's wanted to do since he was 13. He has more muscle and testosterone now than he did when he was younger. So he's kind of like a battle-worn, that has the scars and is still crushing it and showing others how to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a great testament. And for all of us who've been listening to this show for years and years, for hundreds of episodes with John, you've probably picked up on the fact that he's a legendary trainer and professional fitness guru himself, respected all over the region, some of the famous people. So for John to say that, I think you got to listen to this episode, folks. This is going to blow your mind.
Let's go.
It is awesome to have Rami here, John. I mean, I have been waiting for this so long. So John, take it away.
Yeah, well, Rami Odeh, it's great having you, brother. I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you're very good at that, and you know you better than us. So let's get our listeners to fall in love with you. Who are you and what are you about, sir?
I love it, man. Well, Coach Rami. So first name Coach, last name Rami. That's what everybody knows me by. My name is Rami Odeh, but nobody actually knows that. So thanks for saying that, John. Yeah, 63 years old, been in the fitness industry for 34 years now, as long as John has been on this earth. I've been around since 92, and just really funny story, was in corporate America for 3.5 years before I realized I was unemployable, and became an entrepreneur in 92, and I've never looked back. So went to University of Miami for exercise science. I became a personal trainer like you, John, did that for years, then opened my own gym, got into that world. We can go down that road. That's about a 9-hour story, but been doing this forever, and completely blessed, boys. Like, I get to do what I love every day and make a living at it. And it's so rare, as we know. So yeah,
it is so rare. Yeah, so rare. I get to do the same thing. So does John. And we work harder doing the things we dreamed about doing than 100%. But we love it. So John's got a lot of great questions, but let me launch this. Give us a little more detail about the career, because I know some of what you're doing now in the world of entrepreneurship, fitness entrepreneurship, is very, very interesting. But you got to give us a little of the arc. So what was your first fitness business style, and where did it evolve, and why are you doing Alloy at this point?
Hey everybody, it's Robert Helms, host of the Real Estate Guys radio program. And when you're not listening to our show, make sure you're tuned to Capital Hacking. You're going to dig it.
Yeah, great question. So I was in the personal training space for 25 years, owned my own personal training gym, super successful, and then became very not successful in 2008. So that's a whole story that I've done too. Went down that road, brought it back, turned it around, and was actually able to sell it in 2019. Owned a gym, had 17 trainers. We did just personal training, really, really fun business, and sold it, thought I was done. And then, as Al Pacino says, just when I thought I was done, they pulled me back in. I started consulting and started doing online coaching in 2020, through COVID. Wow, what a novel idea. And, really loved that. And my buddy, his name's Rick Mayo, he owned a personal training gym that was actually licensed all across the world, called Alloy. And I just kind of was watching him, and we're best friends. And, he was like, dude, you would be great at this. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I sold my gym. I don't want to do this anymore. And then I realized getting into the franchise world is completely different than running a mom and pop gym. Completely different, right? You have the whole blueprint. Everything is done for you. So I had an online coaching business. I started selling alloys. So I became an independent rep to sell them. And I love the model so much. Once I joined GoBundance, I learned about this thing called horizontal and vertical income. Like, didn't know much about that. And I started pouring my commissions back into owning alloys. So at one point I was invested in 6 of them. My wife slowed me down a little. I wanted 10. Now I've backed off a little. And then, so I do 3 things. So I own alloys, I sell alloys, and then I have an online virtual, physique transformation coaching program that I do specifically in GoBundance now. So I had a big, coaching business with kind of the general population, and realized I was getting super frustrated in that world because nobody actually listens to what you say. So did it with GoBundance, and now just hit the ground running. And you guys know all about that. You've seen the guys on stage, and very blessed. So that encapsulates everything I do into 3 businesses.
You did a great job, man. Now I feel like
there you go. Podcast is over. Out. Done.
Yeah. We're gonna dig a little bit. I've got a bunch here, and I love it to go over. But one of them, I know when we first met, you were really big into endurance. You were an endurance athlete, and I've done some endurance things, although I would not consider myself an endurance athlete. I'm good at moving heavy things, short distances. But what made you switch from being an endurance athlete to getting much, much more into the strength training world?
I love it, man. How dirty can we get on this podcast? So is it? My wife got sick with June. No limits. Well, that's good. That's a perfect.
you were a skinny fat guy. Is that what you
I
started?
was a skinny fat guy, yeah. And, my wife got sick of it. No, that's, by the way, you don't learn that about your body until after you put muscle on. And then your wife tells you, I like you a lot better now. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that 10 years ago? Now, I've had like 3 distinct athletic careers. I raced semi-professional motocross for 15 years. I don't know if you know that, John. So I did that in my teens and 20s, which is very much an endurance event. People that don't know the sport, it's very, very hard sport. I went from that into competitive triathlon and long distance running. I do everything for 15 years. So I did that for 15 years. Really, basically, John, to answer your question, I got burnt out, right? Like, I was sick of just being tired all the time. I went from triathlons, wasn't hard enough, so then I went into ultra marathons, which that world, right? They start at 31 miles and go up. So I was running 30, 50, eventually ran a 100-mile running race. Best cardiovascular shape of my life, tired all the time, felt like shit. Testosterone was 280, right? Because I had destroyed it.
Wow.
Yeah, the opposite of what you would think, right? And I was this height, this weight, and almost 20% body fat, and now I'm like 11. So the opposite of what people think, right? I was doing 20 hours of cardio a week, and I was basically skinny fat. And I just got sick of it. Always loved bodybuilding since I was 13, and I picked up the Muscle and Fitness with Arnold on the cover, the same one every kid picked up, and, always wanted to get into it. But I'd never done it all. And really quick, funny story. When I was in graduate school, my graduate advisor had me stand up in front of the class. They would never do this now. Take my shirt off and say, this is an example of a guy who tries to do everything. He's kind of a shitty bodybuilder, and he's not a very good triathlete. He literally said that in front of my graduate class, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was right, because I was going to the gym and trying to lift heavy and then going to do a 100-mile bike ride. Like, they don't talk to each other. You know what I mean? But I tried that for years because, I don't listen to him, right? Like, typical guy, I thought I could do it myself. In 2022, I decided to go all in on bodybuilding and completely change my physique. And John, you've seen it. I mean, I went from same body weight at the beginning and the end, from 19% body fat down to 9% body fat at age 59. And that was the start of this whole thing. Right? I do everything first to make sure I can do it before I tell guys to do it. I even use out with vitamins, right?
Well, let's go back just for me. I mean, listen, I have seen some of your physique transformation groups, and it is quite impressive. But tell me real quick, well, you were a professional trainer, so you've always been considering, thinking, learning, self-educating yourself on health and exercise. So teach me for a second. You obviously, common sense, even to me, would have said endurance running and triathlons. How could anybody be healthier than people that do that?
100%.
I would that we actually still, everybody talks about someday people do Ironman and that's their goal. I'm like,
Yeah, I did one of those too, by the way.
the only thing I'm against the Ironman a little bit because it takes rookie athletes and tells them to bike ride in very dangerous locations. Like bicycle riding is dangerous, man. And like my way around it, I'm like, honey, can you do everything but the bike ride? I mean, for God's sake.
I would say the open ocean swimming is even more dangerous.
Turtle.
Yeah, except she wanted to do Lake Placid because her brothers have all done it.
So it's a lake swimmer.
It's a lake swim, pretty easy, safe with boats and all that. But
So Josh, to answer your question super quick, endurance is very healthy and it's really good for you, but not at the extreme that I did it, right? So I'm kind of a cautionary tale. I'm shocker, I'm an all or nothing guy, right? I'm black and white. And so I'm like, oh, I did a 5K. Let me do a 10K. Let me do a half marathon. Let me do a marathon. Let me run 50 miles. Like I couldn't stop. So at the level that I did it, you start to, it's a bell curve, right? And it starts to just come down in health. That level is not. What I do now, which is zone 2 cardio, hiking, riding the Peloton, super healthy, great for you, good for your heart, burns fat, doesn't burn muscle, right? But I wish I could pull up a picture, maybe we can add it, but I have my 100-mile picture and my bodybuilding picture, and they're like 7 years apart. So I'm 7 years older in the body, and you wouldn't know that I'm the same person. Yeah. And so, and not just how I look, but how I feel. Like my energy, well, you can tell. Like I have an insane amount of energy, but it's the extremes of it, right? Just bodybuilding too. Like if I went to the extreme of bodybuilding, John knows this, insanely unhealthy. Those guys look incredible, and they cannot be closer to death when they're on stage.
Yeah, that's the truth. And what a lot of people don't know about bodybuilding, this is just a side note. You can delete it from your brain after I say it, but they will get themselves so lean that the fat around their organs, it's dangerous because their organs can actually drop. I forget the name of it, but there's a specific name for that, where bodybuilders have actually died trying to get as lean as
they've
possible.
dieted themselves to death. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, so the extremes of anything, as we know, right? Even making money, right? It can destroy your life, Go ahead.
So look, one great truth or proof of everything you just said. So when we joined GoAbundance in 2018, everybody was talking about who's doing the triathlon, who's doing the ultra marathon. And now those same people have gone through your program and they don't look like the same people anymore. And
Look at Del Rio. Del Rio is the best example.
he was good at those triathlons. It was amazing. One time he said, I think, so you're absolutely right. There's been a
feels better, looks better, totally jacked, and has never felt better in his life. And look, I love that that's on my resume. Trust me, I tell everybody I did an Ironman, but I don't do 3 a year for the rest of my life. Make sense? Yeah.
It does.
Hi, this is Melanie McCallan. Josh and I are just so grateful for the many investors who have already joined us at Accountable Equity. Accountable Equity is so much more than a capital group. It's really a community of accredited investors that want to learn and grow together. I just want to personally invite you, if you want to find out more about this type of investment and see if it's right for you and your family, please visit us at accountableequity.com.
Hey, it's Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. Enjoy.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about that's just so incredible for us to see is impact, the impact that you have, and it's a life-changing impact that you have on guys that are doing your program. So let's talk about that, right? So it's a 9-month program, I believe. I've literally physically not just seen these guys transform physically, but their mental shape. The other day we talked about what's his name out of Lynchburg, and
he was here this weekend with me. I told him what you shared, by the way, and he beamed, by the way. That was awesome, dude.
Yeah, and he's one of so many. The other guy that I think came in 3rd place or 2nd place, what an incredible transformation that was. So walk us through what does it look like when guys sign up for this 9-month program? Because it's not an easy decision, man. That's a tough You're in it. You're in it when you sign up.
Yeah, like a lot of things I tell these guys, first of all, it's 10 to 11 months now. I've extended it because I realize they need a little coaching afterwards. Because as we know, you do something like this, and sometimes there's a cliff you fall after, right? Like they diet for like 14 weeks at the end, and then like they all go to the bar and get drunk and eat pizza. And I'm like, I've lost my kids, like, so when I coach them, I do what it's called reverse dieting after we're done to get them back to maintenance. But yeah, so it is, most transformation programs are 12 weeks long. Everything that you see online is 3 months. And it's great. You can do a lot in 3 months. None of them stick. Also, I'll give you guys a great stat. The success rate of those 3-month transformation programs across all of them is about 10 to 20%. Meaning 10 to 20% actually make it. Guess what it is in GoBundance in my program? 88%. 88. This year we might get 90. We got one guy who's on the edge, right? So it just shows you're different people. Yeah, exactly. Call him out. No, it's not Gary. Gary's doing great. He rode 120 miles last week. So
it's from Gary.
Yeah, so these guys make a huge commitment. And I tell you what, part of my job now that just so you guys know, is interviewing the guys before they come in to make sure this is going to work for them. Because it is a huge commitment. It's very long. In the beginning, it's very monotonous, right? And it's you're lifting weights, you're eating more than you ever have. You're doing much less cardio, right? The scale for a lot of guys is going up. That's a mind fuck, right? Like they're like, when I first did my first one, I went from 200 to 226 in 10 months, right? I had never been 226, except maybe in college when I was drinking and eating pizza every day. But and then I dieted down to 200. So there's so much about it that's psychological. So they build for 6 months and then they burn off body fat and kind of unveil the physique that they've built. And a lot of guys will say to me in January, why don't I start losing weight now? And I show them my picture and I say, because you'll look like this. You'll be skinny fat. I can get you to lose 30 pounds, but if you don't have muscle underneath there to unveil, you're going to look and feel like shit. So you got to build it first. And that's the whole process that we go through. There's a lot more to it. We do pre and post blood work. We do everything, right?
Let me ask you a different question on this, for example.
Sure.
The testosterone. Let's get into that for a second. So does the way you do this naturally build up testosterone? Because
100%. 100%.
Or do you encourage these guys to look at, what is it called?
TRT?
TRT.
So what I do is everything is blood work and symptom based. So everyone in January does their blood work and I do an interview with them about symptoms, right? So Josh, your testosterone, John's testosterone, mine could all be the same number and we could all feel completely different. And that's something people don't realize, right? Like I personally feel like shit under 800 total testosterone. Some guys feel great at 400. It's all based on how much of it you're using. So everyone does a baseline. Everyone does an interview. If they don't need anything, we don't do anything because naturally by adding muscle and losing fat, they're going to bump up 200, 300 points. Most guys. Now, I got a guy coming in who's 58 years old. He's freaking miserable. He's never been able to add muscle. He's got no drive. He's, how dirty can we get? He hasn't had sex with his wife in a year. Like these guys, they need to make a change, right? Like they need to do something quickly. So it's a group program, but it's super individual. So, I would say there's 25 guys in this year's program, and I would say 8 of them are doing HRT and the rest are doing it naturally.
So that beckons the question for me. And I've actually never thought of, me, you, and Josh having, if we had the same testosterone, we'd feel different. But what triggers in my brain is the free test, right? The free testosterone. So can you explain to our listeners the difference between your total number and your free testosterone? Because that's probably the difference on your feeling.
Hey guys, it's John Vroman, founder of Front Row Dads, and you're listening to Capital Hacking, the best investment you'll make today.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of your listeners are GoBundance guys, so this will explain it perfectly. Total testosterone is equity and free testosterone is cash flow. You got it, right? That's all you need to know, right? So you got all this equity. It's fantastic, but you can't eat equity, right? So cash flow is what are you getting? So, but John and I both have 1,000 testosterone, but my free is 300 and his is 150. That number is what you're using. So your total is just what's floating around in your blood, but the free is what can go into your cells and make your muscles stronger and, increase your sex drive, make you feel better. It actually really helps your mood. One of the highest causes of depression in men over 40 is low T. People don't realize that, right? Like, yeah. And so that's the big difference. And John, it's a great question because most general practitioners, and I love doctors, I'm not dissing them, do not measure free testosterone.
That's right.
They measure your total, and the bottom number, by the way, when I started doing this 20 years ago, the bottom number was 400. Guess what it is now? 280. They're lowering the bottom number farther and farther because the general testosterone in our society keeps dropping. So if you're 281, your general doctor says, you're good. Meanwhile, you're like, I'm miserable, doc, right? So that's why you got to measure free. Does that make sense?
That was fantastic. Way to articulate, Artie. I didn't do this.
It's not my first podcast. I don't know if you guys can tell.
So back to your program that you developed. You know, what would you say was the genesis of the program? How did it? I understand you did it to yourself, but what theories went through your mind to change from the skinny fat guy? So, by the way, what does a skinny fat guy look like? You're saying
I wish I held my picture.
You're thin.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was thin. I was, 190 pounds, 6'2", right? But not a whole lot of muscle definition, body fat around my midsection, no shoulders, very, no back. My legs are tiny, like, no frame, right?
Yeah.
So in a shirt, I looked okay, but at the pool, not so much. Make bets?
Yeah. So you could wear the rack and not get tailored, but now you get it tailored.
Yeah. Now I'm an athletic cut. Now I'm 44-34. So there you go. But yeah. So what was the question? So the program, the genesis, super simple. Yeah. So it was me, right? I did it myself to prove it could be done. And then I was coaching a bunch of solo guys, and two of them were Joe Simile and Daniel Del Real. And they said, we want to do it. This is a cool story. I did it with 15 people. That was year 2023. And there were 3 GoBros and 12 people from the general population. 1 person from the general population made it to the end, and 2 out of the 3 GoBros made it. And Daniel and Joe were 2. And then I said to those guys, hey, you did great. Do you mind if I post your pictures on Facebook? And I remember Daniel saying, be ready because you're going to get phone calls. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I post the pictures and I put my Calendly. I said, you want to learn more? I had 26 calls booked in one day. Wow. Over the next week, just from posting those pictures.
Yeah, but
one of the calls was Matt King. He calls me up. He's like, dude, you gotta start a group program. I mean, there's no way you're going to take all these guys solo. And I'm like, I don't like group programs. I don't want to do it. And Matt, he's like, just figure it out. So I said, all right, let's market it. And then I put it together. And the first year we had 27 guys sign up for it. Wow. That was 2044. So it really all comes from Daniel and Joe, hence why I just flew out to California to do another photo shoot with them, because they're the genesis of all of it. They're just great guys, and they just epitomize this lifestyle,
Take us through the phases, though. You said 11 months. I know it started at 9. What are the phases? The bulking, the leaning, this. And I remember Gary was with me the night before we were throwing cornhole, Josh. He was on my team. The night before, he had to go and say, I'm going however many days you guys go. I think it was like 110 days. I don't know. Would know how it goes. So me, Matt Donnelly, and Gary had a night the night before he had to go cold turkey.
He partied a little bit. Yeah. It was 14 weeks, right? So here's the deal. What's happened with this program is it's a group program, but it ends up being individual. So the phases in general are muscle building and kind of calorie maintenance or a surplus if you're a small guy for 6 months. Now, I'll give you an example. Got one guy came in the program. He weighs 155. He's tiny. I am feeding the crap out of that guy. He's up to 1,000 calories a day, okay? Because I'm trying to pack muscle on him. I got another guy who came in at 295. I'm not bulking that guy, right? So he really started dieting in January, but just not really aggressively. So in general, if you're a perfect fit or built, you're like my perfect fit is like a 175-pound triathlete who just can't put on muscle. It's got great drive, can follow a program, but has never had a physique that they liked in the mirror. That's my perfect client, because I'm going to take that guy, this sounds crazy, from 175 to probably 205 to 210. And then I'm going to diet him back down to about 180, and he's going to be a completely different human. That's just like, that makes no sense. You took him at 200 and then back down to where he was, but they're completely different because now they're muscle versus fat, right? So here's the deal. It's a 3-year program in 10 months. That's why I tell those guys.
That makes me wonder.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
What do you do after again? So year 2.
Yeah.
So you do what?
So 6 to 10 of the guys will redo it, right? Because I'm going to tell you
that program.
Yeah, so the biggest regret guys have in this program is they don't push the bulk hard enough. They just couldn't wrap their heads around gaining weight, so they didn't do it. And then at the end, they were like, God, I wish I put on more muscle. Like, I just did my first bodybuilding show at age 63. I waited 50 years after the day I said I would do one until I actually got on stage. At the top of my bulk, I was 241, and I stepped on stage at 197. So, John knows what it's like to rate. That's a lot of weight to cut, and I did it in 20 weeks.
50 pounds. That's insane.
Yeah. It was brutal, right? But my whole thing is, I wish I had hit 250. But my wife cut me off because she told me Santa, and I was getting too big. So
talk to me about that whole problem there. So if you start by building,
yep,
and these are guys that are mature age, so they're dealing with inflammation and pain or whatever, or their joints aren't in strong condition.
Yeah,
you're telling them to go heavy on the weightlifting first. So it's almost like their body's not ready.
I progress them, right? Everybody starts in January with 3 days a week. Then we go to 5 days a week. I progress them. But you'd be really surprised. This is not powerlifting. So a lot of the guys, I'm actually cutting their weight down. This is more about volume than it is about weight. So, and I learned that in my program. I was like, I hired a coach, right? I was like, I know all this stuff, but I need a bodybuilding coach. So I hired a professional bodybuilder to take me through my first year. And the first workout he gave me, I'm like, are you okay? There's 37 sets of chest in this workout, right? And he's like, no, that's the way it works. He goes, but you're going to cut your weights down by like 30, 40%. Volume is the key to building muscle, especially over the age of 40, not super heavy weight. And that's a shocker. And a lot of these guys too, you got to realize, I tell them though, they're training 5 hours a week and they're like, that's nothing, because they were marathon runners or triathletes doing 10, 15, 18 hours a week. So it's a look, I have a degree in psychology as well. I use that degree way more than my degree in exercise science, right? This coaching is much more about the mind than it is about the body. And ChatGPT could give you everything that I just gave you guys. But the difference is I've got the wisdom, and I'm going to coach you through it, and I'm going to titrate based on where your brain is and what you're doing, right?
And there's also that mentality there that when you're doing it with a group of peers that it's individual, but they're also counting on you. There's that accountability that enhances everything. You can't get that from chat.
No, I ask the guys all the time. I'm like, when am I going to become irrelevant? Like, when are you just going to hire some AI robot to do what I do? And every guy says, never, because when you tell me that I didn't do my workouts, I feel really bad. Like, I'm like a dad to these guys, right? When my chat tells me I didn't do my workouts, I don't give a shit. There's an accountability to a human. Maybe in the next 10 years, chat will figure that out. But, hopefully by then I've passed this on to John and he's running the program then. So
John needs another job.
What's the deal? He's not busy enough. Yeah, he's so bored all the time.
Rami, if you could, because we've a few minutes left, but I definitely would squeeze in the Alloy franchise model. What is the difference between Alloy franchise versus your regular gym, and what benefits have you seen?
Yeah, so the biggest differentiator, so we are personal training for small groups. So number one, you get personal training, but opposed to being $100, $150 an hour, it's $30 to $40 an hour because you're in a small group of 6 people. That's all it is. It's a coach with 6 people, small footprint, 1,500 to 1,800 square feet. It's been stress tested over 30 years, right? We've run this product. We started it in 1992. At one point had 2,500 gyms running this system across the world. But the biggest differentiator is our customer avatar is us. It's people over 40. So we are the least marketed to people with the most amount of money. So that's the differentiator, right? So Alloy is going to bring a product to someone like me, who I run my own schedule, I have money, I want to coach, but I don't want to go to F45 or Orange Theory or a big box gym and do, step aerobics, right? Like, that's not my thing. I want to do strength training that's geared towards me, but I also don't want to pay $150 an hour. That's our niche, right? And like I said, it's, people are like, oh, it's an emerging franchise. You guys started in 2019. No, we actually started in 1992, which is crazy, right? And growing like crazy. We're the number one or fastest growing right now. We've sold over 400 locations, 45 to Go Bros. So we got 13 Go Bros that are in the system now. A couple guys have 5 or 6 of them. And we got about 150 opens. So that's the biggest thing. Like, how many do you get open? So super fun. You know, I'm invested in 3 or 4 of them, and it's a great product. And that's the biggest differentiator, John, is that who we go after. Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, thanks for asking about it.
So, Rami, how do our listeners connect with you with questions or follow up?
Coach Rami, it's easy. CoachRami.com. There's my calendar there.
RAMI for the
listeners.
listeners.
CoachRami.com. I should have had the shirt on. And then my gift is always, I always give a free coaching session every time I'm on a podcast. So anybody who wants to jump in, we could talk about peptides, alloy, testosterone, marriage, whatever you want to talk about, right? I'm there for you, but I love giving back. It's part of my world, and just love being on here with you guys.
And Josh, what are the odds that we're going to get, Rami, what are the odds we're going to get Josh to be signing up for your 2027 11-month program?
99.9%. 99.9%. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little too far away. Don't I need it now?
What are you talking about? It's virtual. You're on.
No, I mean, it's far away in the future. I meant,
oh yeah. Well, I got, let's sign up with me for the next 6 months, and then I'll put you.
Let's see. When I do solo, you should do it.
I do solo coach it as well.
I like
that. I love it.
I'll be following
Brett Furling. Do you know him? Great guy. He's doing some solo coaching with me to get himself ready for the big program. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love doing that, man. I would love it.
John, this was the best. I'm so glad we got Coach Rami on.
Rami, thanks for
love you guys
for everything, man. Cheers.
Oh, Christ.
Cheers.
Peace. Love you guys.
Damn straight. We just got
buddy.
We got to the end of another great show, and everyone listening right now, you're the family and friends. Thanks for staying till the end.
That was so fun. And hey, hit the like, hit subscribe. We're here to serve you guys. That's why we're doing this show. Josh is not paying me. I'm doing this off of my quote unquote sweat equity because we want to make a difference in your life. And then that ripple effect will continue to touch the world.
Hey, amen, brother. Please check us out on capitalhacking.com, all the social media threads. And yes, I know you've probably already sent this episode to one of your best friends. Thank you. We love you. Just go right into your iPhone, hit the plus symbol. We'll talk to you later. See you next week.
Share.